Friends, welcome back to Meet with MMS. Today's important topic is Swift's style of writing. So get started. First, I will tell you the main points of this question. These are irony, fertile talent in polemist, allegorical invention, marvelous ease and precision in style, concrete invention, irresistible eloquence, humorist, romanticism, classical writer, compactness of expression, clear in style, uses language of reason, not dry and abstract, concrete word, ironic periphrases, simple, vigorous, and straightforward, variety of tone, flexible adaptation of language to the theme, freedom of thought, deceitful allusion. It is a famous quote by Jonathan Swift: Vision is the art of seeing things invisible. Swift is the master of concrete words and knows its utilization. Swift's style is almost clear, pointed, and precise. He seems to have had no difficulty in finding words to express exactly the impression which he wishes to convey. Gullivers Travels is Swift's most comprehensive and brilliant work, acknowledged by the successive generations. He applies variety of tone to achieve the goal. He passes with the greatest ease from the most simple expression to the pseudo-epic style. Gullivers Travels is one of the few books which are equally popular among the children and elders. We enjoy it much and can compare the story with Alice in Wonderland. A critic emphasizes the popularity of Gulliver's Travels. This book was in everybody's hand, and the reader thinks that the incident which the book contains had already happened. T. Singh says about this: all children from 9 to 90 years of age enjoy Gulliver's Travels. Gulliver's Travels cannot be regarded as a perfect or complete utopia because here Swift discussed the corruption of different systems of the world. Swift wrote this book in the period of transition and stir. This age is also called Age of Pop. His motive is to vex the world rather than divert it. Swift is a mature satirist and his irony is deadly. His motive is to reform anything of any country, whether it is politics, religion, and living ways of human beings. In Gulliver's Travels, we find style mostly of corrosive type, which is horrifying, as Berrien says. Swift's style, by social comparison, is the most effective made with his work. As in part 1, we find Swift satirizing the manner in which political offices were distributed among the candidates by the English king in Swift's time. Swift satirizes historian and literary critics through Gulliver's interviews with the ghosts of the famous dead people. The point of satire here is that historians often distort facts and even manufacture facts, and literary critics often misinterpret great authors like Homer and Aristotle. Swift is also mocking at the English king's conferment of distinction on political favorites and supporters by giving them three fine silk threads. The article of impeachment against Gullivers are intended by Swift as a star on the actual impeachment in 1715 of four Tory ex-ministers. Swift's scornful and incisive satire on humanity is indeed a masterpiece, even though it has a depressing and disheartening effect on us. Swift also uses allegory in his works. Gulliver's Travels is an allegorical work. The first voyage of Gulliver's Travels is a political allegory. Flipnap the Treasurer represents Sir Robert Walpole, who was the Prime Minister of England from 1715 to 1717 and then again from 1721 to 1742. The ancient temple in which Gulliver is housed in Lilliput probably refers to Westminster Hall, in which Charles I had been condemned to death. The incident of extinguishing a fire is another example of what is called allegory. It relates Swift's circumstances in life. Through this incident, Swift describes his annoyance with Queen Anne. He attacked religious abuses in his book A Tale of Tub, which has been misinterpreted by Queen Anne as an attack on religion itself. In short, we can confidently remark that Gulliver's Travels is really an allegorical satire. Swift is a humanist as well as an ironist. Irony is one of the most important weapons used by Swift to bring comic effects in his writings. The description of the Emperor of Lilliput is clearly ironic because a person who is just 6 inches cannot be regarded as awful, and yet, as judged by the Lilliputians' standard, the emperor certainly strikes fear among his people by his greater height. The punishment which the emperor of the Lilliput wants to give to Gulliver is also ironical because the emperor decided to have him blinded instead of ordering his death. In Second Voyage, Gulliver says that the lack of knowledge in King had produced many prejudices and narrow-mindedness of thinking in him. All this is ironically intended by Swift because he knows that the king's criticism about the gunpowder was perfectly sound and justified. The rewards for the winner of the contest of dancing on a rope, creeping under the sticks, leaping over it, and confinement of silk threads of different colors, all is ironical, and it refers to the sycophancy of the English countries of that time. Swift ironically informs us that we should be bent with what we know by sight and by touch, only ignore reasons which come. It is now a custom to regard him a master of irony. Swift likes to pass from one domain to another. In Gulliver's Travels, we find a plentiful humor. Different situations and incidents in all voyages create laughter. We laugh at the system of politicians, the toy kingdom in different countries at the sight of Gulliver, especially in Brobdingnag. Vivin says, the hallmark of a true humorist is his ability to laugh at himself. The very idea about the small inhabitants of Lilliput of only 6 inches is very amusing. The manner in which Gulliver is fed is very humorous because hundreds of Lilliputians and many ladders and thousands of barrels are included in feeding Gulliver only for one time. In Laputa, many of the Laputians follow their emperor, and their function is to draw the attention of their masters to anything that might need their attention. That is very humorous. If people of Laputa want to praise the beauty of a woman, they do so in geometrical or musical terms, which is quite amusing and ridiculous. Gulliver is a fictitious character invented by Swift. He is primarily an observer. Gulliver is the mouthpiece of Swift, but not fully. Gulliver is also a commentator and a moral judge. He is a keen observant, reasonably intelligent, thoroughly capable in any emergency. Also brave and hopeful. We find looseness in his character too. We look at things through his eyes, we feel his feelings, and share his thoughts. We remain in his company from beginning till end. Gulliver's learning power is very excellent, that he learns the languages very quickly and understands all the situations of any country. In the first 3 voyages, we find his character very positive, but we dislike his character in 4th voyage due to extreme bent of mind, that is misanthropy. Another characteristic of Swift's style is universality in his writings. Gulliver's Travels does not confine to any specific race or time, but to the whole world and mankind. This universality enhances its popularity. The vices and follies which were present in Yahoos, we find them all over the world. As we know that Gulliver's Travels is a fictitious story, Swift's style is so superb and he narrates the story in such a manner that we find it based on realism and reality. Swift is giving us the names of metropolis and also telling us certain dates, 17th August 1703, when the party set out for the metropolis etc. These details are intended to on-air the effect of realism to the story. The references to the latitude and longitude of the position of Gulliver's ship at different times, allusions to geographical locations and similar other matters which have effect of realism to the story. Swift is regarded as a classical as well as romantic. That is an additional feature of his writings. It is because he has used both common sense as well as romance in his book. And being a romantic writer, he gives many fanciful accounts of Gulliver's Travels. Swift's style almost represents perfection. He has a full command over verse and vocabulary. He has vast range of ideas that every voyage can be contrasted to other. His writing style is very precise, and due to this precision of writing style, we have better understanding of what he says. Another comic event is narrated in a very clear manner. The Lilliputians buried their dead with the heads of the corpse directly downwards because they held a belief that after 11,000 moons the dead would rise from the graves, and that during this period the earth would turn upside down, so that the dead would, on coming back to life, find themselves standing on their feet. Swift's language is very clear and lucid. We find so much variety in his language. His tone is very clear about explaining his ideas. His expressions are very superb, that they eventually make a sketch in our mind. There is no repetition of language. For instance, I write for the noblest end to inform and instruct mankind. Swift has used beautiful similes and metaphors, which even more enhance his writing. Symbols which are used like rope dancing, high heel and low heels create a strong impact. Swift has superb power of narration, and we hardly find any exaggeration in his language. His power of invention is very strong, that many things and names have now become terms. For instance, Lilliputians is now a term. Moreover, names of ships and Brobdingnag has also become a term. According to a critic, plain, direct, sensible, outspoken and empty of ornament, the verse of Swift has no lost its appeal for us. Gulliver's Travels is the most outstanding book of Jonathan Swift. His style is extraordinary and easy to understand. Swift is regarded as the writer of all ages. He is the spokesman of every human being. He reveals all the traits of human beings, whether good or bad, in a veiled manner. And his motive is to reform the system of any country as well as human beings. Swift also reveals the vice and follies of the English country and his own age in Gulliver's Travels. On the whole, Gulliver's Travels is regarded as what a critic says. This was, is and will be a relevant book into all generations. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe the channel, press the bell icon. Thanks for watching.